Hello and welcome to this News9 special. Karnataka is the state that the entire country considers to be the Silicon Valley of India. But however, Karnataka has a lot of economic potential. At the same time, it has been looking at positive GDP figures. But when it comes to the issue about spending on its social sectors, it seems that despite the spending, or rather the lack of it, has resulted in some of its social indicators to plummet more lower than most of the southern states where it is a part of that grouping. So clearly, what is ailing Karnataka in this? Well, Karnataka goes to polls on 10th of May and is gripped with the election fever, with every party making promises of providing more employment, better infrastructure, improving healthcare and education. Now, the entire exercise will cost the state exchequer 511 crores. That said, finally, with a new government in place post 13th of May 2023, what every Kannadiga may want to know is whether there will be improvement in their lives. How does Karnataka, the largest state south of the Vindhyas, fare when it comes to several of the socio-economic parameters? Well, not well. According to the data that has been taken from the National Family Health Surveys, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, as well as from Niti Aayog, well, it looks like Karnataka is lagging behind in several sectors. Well, let's give you first the good news. Karnataka's per capita GDP has shown impressive growth over the years. But the bad news, which is the cause for worry, is that the impressive growth in GDP is in stark contrast to the state's poor educational, environmental as well as health indicators, which deteriorated between the period of 2015 to 16 and also worsened further between 2019 to 20. Some of the social indicators which are shocking comprise of data on underweight children in the state, in which Karnataka ranks 25 on 30, while the top performing state, if compared with the south, is Kerala at 19.7. Now, if one looks at the women who never attended school in Karnataka, it's terrible news, as it ranks on 18 out of 30, and it's terrible because it remains the same number since 2005 to 2006. Now, let's take a look at the overall sanitation, and Karnataka stands at 17 on 30, having fallen 2 points from 2015. Pretty much the same story unfolds when it comes to secondary or higher education status in the largest state of the south. So what ails Karnataka? Why does the IT hub of the country, showcase across the world, perform so poorly on social indicators? Well, to speak regarding this, we have with us Professor Chambi Puranik, who joins us. Professor, a state that is known for its wealth, in fact, its per capita income is considered to be much higher than the national average. But when it comes to social indicators, let's talk about malnutrition. Karnataka's children is someone who is considered to be having stunted growth as well as poor nutritional meals being given when it compares to the other southern states. And there is also an effort on the other side to ensure that the midday meal is more nutritious, despite a lot of issues with regards to egg and meat and milk being introduced in the midday meal scheme. But still, there is an effort being done. But why is it that Karnataka's children, in a state that is said to be generating a lot of income, tend to be malnutritioned as well as at the same time having stunted growth?
Yeah, well, I totally concur with the statistics that you have presented, for the last 15, 20 years, especially during the period of 2002 to 2016 and then onwards. I think things have not improved, as you mentioned. Unfortunately, the Nanjundappa committee, which gave a very exhaustive report on the imbalances that are there in the regional development in terms of education, health, infrastructure, and many other social and economic requirements of the region and the people and all that. So I think, the point that you mentioned about malnutrition, it is true that in southern states itself, there is a kind of decline which the statistics reveal, as we have before us. But the midday meal scheme is no doubt a good scheme that has been successful, to a great extent. But I'm told the quality of food and the kind of whatever items that are given. Sometimes there has been a controversy, irrelevant controversy between egg and vegetarian food, etc. All these things, small issues that are there. But still, when you look at your graphics show how the drought area and the people are struggling for even basic requirements of water and their own, ordinary living, etc. So therefore, I would say that the children of Karnataka who are in the regional area. See, we have Kalyana Karnataka, we have Kittur Karnataka, we have Central Karnataka, Coastal Karnataka, and Old Mysore region. But I think, barring Bangalore city area, Bangalore rural districts included, all other regions, there is this kind of a stark, kind of ugly reality that children are not given the kind of education, and also to come to attract them to come to schools, that children are not given that kind of midday meal which is nutritious and all that. So itself shows, because these are all interrelated problems. You are taking one particular area of malnutrition and how the children are suffering and the dropout rates are increasing, and rural children are neglected. I am associated with one NGO, Pratham, which you know. But in Karnataka, that Pratham is doing great work, because the learning deficiencies of children, especially the communication skills.
But more than this, let us, Chambi Puran, more than this, like we are going to the next step of education and all that. But more than this, when it comes to nutrition, why is it that the state ailing? As you have been saying that there are issues about it, though there are efforts being done, especially in districts like Yadgir, especially in the Hyderabad, Karnataka region, which from long they have been asking for a backward area status. They've got that backward area status. There's been more money being pumped into these areas, but the social indicators from these areas are much more shocking, because these are the places where the government has been fueling money to ensure that these social indicators are improved upon. And Yadgir still remains one of the most backward districts in Karnataka. You have, as you said, when it comes to nutrition, and then also when it comes to general enrollment of students as well. So their region-specific variances are also there. It's not like, across Karnataka it is the same thing, but there are certain regions where things are very bleak.
Yeah, I agree with you. Even in this 2023 year, that is 21st century, you mentioned about Yadgir. I'm glad you mentioned, because just a few days back, the PUC results were declared. Yadgir comes at the lowest level, at the kind of percentage of passes and all that, whereas other districts boast of 70, 75, 80, 85 and all that. So that is one proof to show that this particular region, especially the Hyderabad, Karnataka, which merged with the Vishala Karnataka, I think children are not given that kind of facilities. Instead of going to specific areas and talukas or villages, I would say broadly, the implementation part is, I think, is the greatest debacle, or the kind of drawback that the Karnataka government has to tackle also. Because there are many good schemes, but when it comes to implementation, the block development, the village development, the kind of focus that we need, that is, I think, is something where things have to be answered. There is money, as you said, there is wealth, but the wealth is not distributed evenly among all the regions of the state, and especially the expectations of people from the areas of Hyderabad, Karnataka, which we call Kalyana Karnataka, the Kittur Karnataka, the Bombay area. I think compared to two Karnatakas, Kalyana and Kittur, I think Kalyana Karnataka is the least that has been given a ordeal, and I think something has to be done. This is a major concern, because when you look into the health indicators and the school enrollment, the performance level, and even what you mentioned about the nutritious kind of value additions and support system, I think there is not an integrated approach, though there are very good schemes on paper. But when it comes to implementation, I think there is lack of coordination, and also that lack of zeal or willpower among the local officials who are supposed to see the benefits reach the concerned target groups. I think that's where the Karnataka government, whether it is this government or new government or whatever government comes, they have neglected. There is no doubt they are guilty of this. And when I have visited all these places, as a university teacher or various other academic purposes, I have found the kind of whatever gaps that are there. They are stark kind of thing, a very, very shocking kind of gaps that you find. Children
Shocking
are
kind
not
of
in the
gap.
position.
Professor Puranik, I'm also, in fact, getting Arun, B.S. Arun into the discussion. B.S. Arun, how do you see these indicators affecting technically a state that is being considered as the Silicon Valley of the entire country? The image of Karnataka is first when you think about Bangalore, or you look at the suave kind of campuses that the IT industry has, or you think about the Mysore's Infosys campus. You know, these are the images that you have. But when you talk about Karnataka, you don't think about it having children who are facing malnutrition, children with stunted growth. You don't see women health suffering in Karnataka. So there is a big stark contrast to this. The thing is, it's not that the state is going backwards when it's come to its economic growth, but despite the economic growth and even managing to be higher when it comes to per capita income, higher than the national average, Karnataka seems to be falling. So why is it that in social indicators we are falling, but at the same time economic growth has doubled? Where is the discrepancy happening here, Arun?
Hi. First of all, morning, and morning to Professor Puranik also. See, this is an example of the disproportionate growth in Karnataka. We have on the one side, as Professor was mentioning, this part of the state, which is well developed, like the old Mysore region, the southern Karnataka especially. And we have this Kalyan Karnataka, Gulbarga, Bidar, Raichur, Koppal. These are the districts which have remained backward ever since Karnataka was formed. Then Mysore state was formed. This shows that how the kind of lack of development, be it in the sphere of education, health, sanitation, rural development. You take anything, any parameter, any indicator, and this region has remained backward. There are good politicians who have come from there, like Virendra Patil was there, Dharam Singh was there. We had chief ministers from this region, very region. But then, the skewed growth here is alarming. I will just give you the latest example. Karnataka government announced the second PUC results, the +2 results, just about a week back, and the bottommost was Yadgir, and Yadgir, Gulbarga, Bidar. There were the bottommost districts in terms of the lowest percentage of passes, whereas districts like Udupi, Mangalore, Shumaga, these southern Karnataka districts, they came top. And this has been happening every year. It's not that only this year this has happened. You take the sphere of the area of education or any other developmental parameters, this region has remained backward for years. About 10 or 12 years back, Union government, on the demand of the state government, passed the Article 371, which is to give special reservation, in education and employment to this region. I don't know. I think there has to be a white paper to be brought out here. I don't know how far this has helped in this region. Maybe the government has to come out with statistics as to what extent this 371 has helped this region. I think the state government has to give more stress, more focus on this. It has I will give you one more example. It has several irrigation dams in this region. We have one of the biggest, the Almaty Dam here. But then how far this region has developed, it's there for all to see. This is a very tragic scene in Karnataka. On the one side, you have Bangalore, Mysore, Mangalore, Hubli, Dharwad. But on the other side, you have, Yadgir, Gulbarga, Bidar, and other Raichur amongst the most backward in the state. And state government has to...
Well, V.S. Arun, you were saying about all these areas that we've been speaking about. When it comes to infant mortality, when it comes to maternal mortality, infant mortality, one shocking indication from a last year report is that Karnataka loses 3 times more babies than Kerala and 53 to 83% higher than Tamil Nadu. When it comes to maternal mortality rate, where it is a little successful, because according to the global target it has been given, it is under 70. Karnataka is 69, just under that 70 mark. But its peers across the southern states have all moved out and have done much more well when it comes to infant mortality as well as maternal mortality rate. Why is it? This happening? Is it because, as you're saying, there is a technical divide in the state? We are talking about South Karnataka and North Karnataka. North Karnataka, so there have been political entities who've been asking for it to be separated from South Karnataka based on development issues as such. So is it that when it comes to the overall factor of the state, is it that North Karnataka is technically dragging the state's achievements when it comes to South Karnataka's achievements? When you look at the whole picture, is it the North Karnataka region that is taking the complete brunt of non-development, non-interference? And despite all, as you said, a lot of these political leaders coming from there, development seems to be missing from there completely when it comes to social indicators.
I think except a couple of politicians. I was in Delhi at that time. I know that people like Mallikarjun Kharge and a couple of other politicians, they tried their best and they ensured that Article 371 was implemented. But then, we have been seeing, I think this is because the lack of political initiative, as well as the professor mentioned, sort of commitment among the officials at the ground level, which is very, very important. Unless you have committed ASHA workers, the health sector won't improve in the, in the rural areas. It's that kind of a thing. Unless you have committed, officials at every level, you don't see the kind of development that the Southern Karnataka has received. I don't want to call it a drag on state's finances, because this is there in perhaps in every other state. Why only state? You take the entire country. How the northern states are performing and how the southern states are performing. But then, in Karnataka, it's Bangalore and a couple of other districts which give the revenue to these other backward districts. And this, as I said, happens in most of the states. It can't help it because the state has to be uniformly developed, has to be uniformly performing in all areas of parameters. I feel the lack of political, I think the successive governments have to give, sustained attention, focus on the development in different fields, have committed politicians, have committed officials, and you will see development. Until that happens, I think we are going to see this continuing for years or decades.
Well, let me get in Professor Chambi Puranik. Professor Chambi Puranik, the formation of Karnataka state, has that got to do with this kind of regional differences that has cropped up? Because, some parts of it was part of the Nizam's kingdom, some part of Bombay presidency, some part of Madras presidency, and of course the old Mysore region was part of the Mysore kingdom. And the Mysore Maharajas were in fact very forward thinking. They had a very modern society, and that was where the power structure of Karnataka has come to be. And if you look at how from the Nizam's region, some of those districts that were carved and merged into Karnataka, and then the Bombay presidency areas, they were already not in the area of development, as we could say. And so when the entire power shifted to south of Karnataka, again that neglect is something that kept going, is what I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but is that the case? There's a historical nature of these areas developing separately. That is what resulted in this kind of a situation for North Karnataka as well.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Arun, our very revered journalist of Karnataka, who has seen the growth of Karnataka, just as I have seen as a teacher for last 55 years. And after 1973, I think, Devarajas did try his best, though he is from old Mysore region, and he was, indirectly, he was not happy because I have interacted with him. But he said, for the sake of Kannada language, we have come together. That's the primary kind of focus that was there. All Kannada speaking areas should be. So our States Reorganization Commission gave and all that. But when it came to the development aspects, though, very powerful and very popular leaders emerged from both Bombay, Karnataka and Hyderabad, Karnataka. I don't know why they have neglected. Most of these leaders, they should introspect. After all of them, I should say 98% of them have built their houses in Bangalore. Their children are here. Their whatever economic activities are all surrounded. So that particular thing, when you say the leaders were not in a position to totally understand, even they have understand, they have not done it, and they were trying to, carry on with the kind of regime changes and the government that was there and all that. So therefore, when you come out, or when we come out with very costly and shocking statistics, it is something which we need to worry about it even today in 2023. So I will just give you one example. Just 2 months back, the Karnataka government education survey department came out with, you see, in 2 areas, in reading and arithmetic, the level of performance of children, not especially in that region, but that region is higher. So that means to say, in both the regions, 73 to 65%, 65 to 73% was very low, or children were not in a position to comprehend. Same thing with mathematics and all that, 39 to 45%, like that. So when it says both the reading skills as well as the arithmetic, minimum arithmetical kind of calculations that are there, if they are not taught by the schools and the kind of teachers or responsible officials are there, the education thing has suffered very badly. If the youth of children is given this kind of discriminatory treatment, or a very gross negligence is there, how can you expect a better skill or performance from them when they grow into adults or go into colleges? See, and second thing, apart from these statistics, you mentioned about malnutrition. You also know that people of Hyderabad, Karnataka and Mumbai, Karnataka, both we have kept very good names for historical kind of optics purposes. Kittur, Karnataka, the heroism of a lady, and Kalyana, Karnataka, the kind of whatever Kalyana or vision Dr. Ranjundappa committee visualized before us and gave it to us. So more than 20 years, 2 decades onwards, if you make a thorough study exclusively, you will see that there is a very consistent kind of negligence that is there in this region. That's why the third point is the migration of youth, for purpose of work, jobs and other things. They go to Goa, and they also go to Andhra Pradesh, they also go to Maharashtra, and these are the kind of things that are seeing, And this particular thing that shows that we have not given them not only enough or healthy kind of treatment, but also good education, foundational things, but also we have not been able to develop their skills and retain them as workforce, the democratic dividend. Now India is going to overtake China in a few months' time, or in 1 year's time. So what is the great hullabaloo about this particular democratic dividend? Same thing coming to Karnataka. I think, some areas are worse than the areas in Orissa or Bihar, which I personally know, and Mr. Arun also will endorse that. So therefore, I think, it is a kind of lack of will, and feeling that sense of integration. So emotionally, culturally, we boast saying that we are very well integrated and we are Kannadigas and all that. When it comes to delivery of benefits, there is a kind of uneven kind of distribution, and also the kind of attention that we are given. This itself has already damaged for the last 50 years, the integrated Karnataka has seen the expected growth. That's why, Article 371, why you mention Article 371 at this stage? That's why Umesh Katti and many other leaders, including Vajnath Patil of Gulbarga, they were pleading for separate Karnataka. It was a kind of frustration that made them to speak not for Kannada. No, Andhra Pradesh, though it came in the name of language, Telugu, as one state, now it is divided. Perhaps, the days may not be far off when these regions also make that kind of articulation to demand for separate identity, in order to have basic infrastructure and facilities in this region, which have been grossly neglected. I would say the responsibility lies with the leaders as well as bureaucrats and all other officials that are there. Third thing is that when Belgaum Vidhan Soda, Vikas Soda, Suvarna Vikas Soda was built, we thought that many other departments there, irrigation department or rural development, all of them will be shifted to Belgaum. And because it is the second capital of Karnataka. But that has not happened. Only the promises are made by all chief ministers, whether they are from Karnataka, old Karnataka, or from new Karnataka. They all have tried to take advantage of this kind of negligence. And also, they have not been able to solve it seriously. And the proof of the pudding is in eating. Whatever statistics you, me, and Arun have given, that itself shows there is a long way to go to bring this kind of economic development, holistic growth, and even distribution on top of the growth that Karnataka provides. Because we are going to be 4 trillion economy. That's what Mr. Bommai says. But how are you going to spend that money across Karnataka? I mean, that particular thing has not been made clear.
Yes,
in every
right, Professor Puranik, in fact, giving us those insights. Thank you also, B.S. Arun, for also speaking to us. Well, it was an interesting find to find out as to how Karnataka, though is a well generator, seems to be lagging in social indicators, and what could be the reasons for it. Well, it looks like the leaders coming in from the May 10th elections will decide how to in fact resolve these matters. With that, it's a wrap on this special on News 9. Stay tuned for News 9 programs.